Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Rabbi srahli sadri wa yassirli amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Respected elders and beloved brothers and sisters in Indonesian Muslim community in Calgary, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. There is a proverb in Arabic, which if we translate it into English, it says, you cannot give what you don't have. Now, in the context of the verses of Surah Yusuf that we've been reviewing in the past couple of weeks, this proverb really resonates these verses. So Prophet Yusuf was in prison. Every moment, it was a moment of da'wah. That's from our perspective as a Muslim, right? Every moment is a moment of calling people to Allah. But we have to earn it, right? We cannot preach someone or preach to someone rather what we ourselves don't inhibit in our doing every day, right? So we need to show what we are preaching, then we can preach. So here Prophet Yusuf alaihi salam was noticed by the fellow inmates. He was a good doer. So they open up to this, the fellow inmates, and they start asking questions to Prophet Yusuf alaihi salam. So inshallah today we will continue our review of these verses. Inshallah today we will complete that moment where Prophet Yusuf was in prison. Before we start, as usual, let's recite these verses together, inshallah. So we will cover verses 40, 41, and 42 today, inshallah. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ma ta'buduna min dunihi illa asma'an sammaitumuha antum wa aba'ukum ma anzalallahu biha min sultan inil hukmu illa lillah amara alla ta'budu illa iyyah dzalika ad-dinul qayyim walakinna aktsaran nasi la ya'lamun. Ya sahibayis sijni amma ahadukuma fayasqi rabbahu khamra wa ammal akharu fayuslabu fatakulu tayru min ra'sih qudiyal amru alladhi fihi tastaftiyan wa qala lilladhi dhanna annahu najim minhu mazkurni 'inda rabbik فأنساه الشيطان ذكر ربه فلبث في السجن بضع سنين صدق الله العظيم. So for the purpose of our discussion, we will use this translation, inshallah. All right. The first verses that the first of the verses that we will cover today, inshallah, verse number 40. Ma ta'buduna min dunihi. Yeah, so this is a continuation of the verse that we covered last week. Yeah, where Prophet Yusuf says that. Yeah, so which is far better? So here Prophet Yusuf already used logic. Yeah, so he's going deeper now. Yeah, after just the most fundamental point of don't associate anything with Allah, now he is going deeper, yeah, which is far better. Many different Lord or Allah, the one, the supreme. Okay, so he's going deeper now into logical. He's asking these fellow inmates to think, and he follow it up, yeah, he said here, whatever idols, yeah, ma ta'buduna min duni, yeah. whatever you worship beside Allah, ila asma samaitumuha antum wa abaukum. It's only a name, yeah, that you or your fathers or your forefathers call. So it's only in your mind. You're just making it up in a way, right? Ma anzalallahu biha. Allah doesn't bring down this thing, yeah, this thing that you worship. And there is no ma'anzalallahu biha means sultan afwan, yeah. So Allah doesn't reveal or has never authorized it. There is no sultan here. Sultan is the authoritative proof that this is what you should worship. Inil hukmu illa lillah, yeah. Here he said that he has it is only Allah who decides, yeah. Inil hukmu, hukum, yeah, command, illa lillah, yeah. Alla ta'budu illa iya. And he has commanded that you worship none but him. Yeah. So this is again, as I mentioned, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam going deeper here. Yeah. So after he said that, is it better there's many gods compared with one Allah, the one and the supreme? Yeah. So while this fellow inmates were still thinking, right? Of course, this is a rhetorical question that Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam gave. He followed it up. Prophet Yusuf said, "Ma ta'budu min dunihi." Yeah. Whatever you worship, you just made it up, right? Allah never give a proof, authoritative. There is no authoritative proof that Allah has revealed for anyone to worship these gods that you were worshiping. Yeah. So that this is what Prophet Yusuf says, right? So keep going deeper into the logical. So what's your proof? Yeah. So now he's going there. Yeah. Zalika dinul qayyim. So he's referring to the deen that he worshipped, alayhi salam, Prophet Yusuf. Yeah. This is the religion that is upright, what he worshipped. Walakin na akthar, but there are a lot of people, most people do not know. Yeah. Yeah. So walakin na aktharun nasi la ya'lamun. So there are a few points that we can also mention here, right? As we follow up from previous session that we have, right? So first of all, here in one of our reference from a book of Dr. Yasir Qadi, yeah, he said that, this is one of the ayah where we can say not every religion is the same. We are not talking about how we interact with people of other religion. This is strictly conversation of aqidah, yeah, conversation of deen, of belief, of creed, yeah. As you can see, Prophet Yusuf is still very polite to his fellow inmates, yeah. So he said this is really a conversation of aqidah. So it's very clear, right? So whatever you worship, whatever you call as Allah, it's not Allah. It's something that you just made up. All right. And the only truth is what Allah Himself revealed it. Yeah. So you need to have a proof before you worship something. Yeah. So in this case, in context of Islam, we have Al-Quran. We have the book of Allah, where Allah clearly stated, yeah, that He is the one to be worshipped, the only one to be worshipped, rather, right? And there is a proof why Al-Quran is original. Who is the prophet that basically Allah revealed this Al-Quran to, yeah. And why we believe is the prophet. Everything has a proof. This is a matter of deen, yeah, and aqidah. So in the context of Tawhid, of the divine unity, this is the third of Tawhid. Yeah, the first is basically the oneness of Allah. There's only one God. The second of Tawhid is there is only one in terms of His action, Allah action, and Allah names and Allah characteristics, yeah, attributes, sifat, right? And the third one is there's only one to be worshipped. This one. And as you can see, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam explained it in just what? Just I think it's only for ayah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 37 38, 39, 40. Very eloquent. Just 4 ayah, he mentioned everything. And notice the point that I was trying to make earlier, that every moment is a moment on dakwah. Yeah. So someone, in this case, these fellow inmates, 2 of them, yeah, asked something to Prophet Yusuf. Right. There are 5 ayah here, 37 until 5 verses, 37 until 41. Right. 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41. Yeah. 4 verses, 37, 38, 39, and 40, Prophet Yusuf explained about Allah. And he replied to the answer in the last ayah, the 5th one. Right? So it's very important. But as we mentioned, you need to earn it. You need to, when you cannot, as we said earlier, you cannot preach something that you don't have, something that you don't practice. You cannot do that. Obviously, Prophet Yusuf practiced it, so he can preach it. He did it eloquently. Okay. Now, finally, he replied to these fellow inmates, right? Or fellow prisoner again, right? As I mentioned earlier, you may be having different opinion about your creed, but it doesn't mean that you will be rough, you will be impolite. He's still polite. He said, hey, fellow prisoner, oh, fellow prisoner. So he still relate himself to be the same in this case as fellow prisoner. Oh, fellow prisoner. Then he start, the first one of you will serve wine to his master. Yeah? He didn't mention name, he just mentioned the first one of you will serve wine to his master. The ulama said this is out of courtesy, yeah, to the fellow inmates, because one of them will die, as we will see in this ayah, right? The other will be crucified, and the birds will eat from his head, right? The matter about which you inquire has been decided. Again, this is the Prophet speaking, yeah, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So the matter is that you inquire has been decided, yeah, because he's the Prophet of Allah. What he said is truth. Okay, that's our belief of Prophet. Earlier we talked about the creed of belief of Allah. Now we are talking about the creed of belief to the Prophet. Whatever he said is true. That's our basis of prophecy. Otherwise, how can we follow his teaching if we don't believe that whatever he said is true, right? Okay, so one of the characteristic, there are 4 characteristics of the Prophet that we believe must be true. Yeah. First of all is truthfulness. What we just said, it's always truth. Sadiq. Yeah. The second one is trustworthiness. He can be trusted. Yeah. He is trusted. He's trustworthy. Yeah. Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam is considered al-amin even before his prophecy. Okay. The third one is conveying the message. As you see here, Prophet Yusuf, he conveyed the message from Allah. He's not hiding the message from Allah. He's conveying the message. And the fourth one is smart, astute. Yeah. So the Prophet must be smart because he need to think very quickly. He need to think clearly, right? So here Prophet Yusuf can explain the concept of Tawhid in just 4 verses, eloquently. Okay, so that's the belief, Islamic belief, the most generic one about prophecy. Okay, and the last ayah that we are going to cover tonight, inshallah. وَقَالَ لِلَّذِينَ ظُنَّ. Yeah, so then he said to the one that he knew he would survive, mention me in the presence of your master, right? So here, Uchkurni inda rabbik, Uchkurni inda rabbik, yeah, mention me before your master. Fa'ansahu shaitan. Again, this is what in the Quran, right? We know that everything happened because of Allah. But Prophet Yusuf, or here we don't associate bad thing to Allah. Yeah, it's Satan who made him forget, made the other person forget to mention about Yusuf. But of course, everything happened because of Allah. But we attribute, or we don't say bad thing out of adab, out of etiquette to Allah. Yeah, we can see it in Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, and also now Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Yeah, so we attribute bad thing to to Shaitan, although we know that everything happened because of Allah, right? But here, so mention me in the presence of the master, but Shaitan made him forget to mention Joseph to his master, so he remained in prison for several years. So here, brothers and sisters in Islam, just to conclude our lesson for today, right? So we're talking about tawakal. So Prophet Yusuf, there's no question, he's very tawakal. He was thrown to the well, he's thrown to prison unjustly. He was now in prison. Yeah, in this verse, he was in prison, unjustly put into prison, and he would prefer prison rather than doing what the wife of the Aziz and the ladies in town asked him to do. So he preferred to be prison than doing what they asked him to do. Yeah, so process itu tawakal to Allah, relying on Allah. But while relying on Allah, while also taking necessary means. It's okay to ask help, but first rely on Allah. Then you ask for help. So now he's asking the fellow prisoner, the fellow prisoner rather. Yeah, so he knows that this fellow prisoner is a wine bearer, a cup bearer of the king. So he's close to the king, and the king is supposedly in the higher position than the Aziz, whose wife put him, recommended him to put to prison. Alayhi salam. Yeah. So so here Prophet Yusuf asks, mention me. So now that I help you, that I explain to you what your dream meant, you can help me to mention me in front of your king, your Rob. So this is it. Yeah. So tawakkul is relying on Allah while also taking necessary means to achieve what you want to achieve. Okay, and this is not only in Prophet Yusuf, right? Prophet Musa as well with his stick. Okay, so Allah can split the Red Sea without having asked Prophet Musa to strike his staff, right? His stick, his staff. Allah can do that, right? But he asked, right? And then Prophet Muhammad alaihi salam during the battle of Khandaq, when he was building the trench with his Sahaba, right? They were very hungry, and then Prophet Muhammad, there is there was some invitation. There was one invitation rather, and then he licked with his finger to the food, right? That was prepared, yeah. And then the food never ends. Yeah, almost 1,000 people, according to the reliable hadith, that it. Yeah, so it's a miracle on Prophet Muhammad (SAW) behalf, right? Can Allah do it without, Prophet (SAW) lick his finger and put it into the food? Of course he can. Azza wa Jalla. He can do anything, but he asked Prophet Muhammad is as a means, right, to do that. Okay, so I think this is one of the lesson, that tawakkul is relying on Allah while also taking necessary means to achieve what we want to achieve. Barakallahu fikum. Aku liqouli hadza wastaghfiru innahu huwa ghafurur rahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.